everybody, and welcome to RAW Dawgs, a bodyslam.net post show. I am your host, Nick Perkins. I am joined today, as always, by Cory Hays, and we have a new guy. We have a third, JPJ. How are you, my man? Welcome, gentlemen. How are you both?
I am doing very well. Thanks for having me. I'm excited about joining you guys and chatting some Raw, so I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're happy to
Besides
have
all
you.
the glitching crap that happened on the show, that was annoying. But other than that, I'm excited to be here. So.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Cory, how are you doing, my man? I know that you haven't been feeling so good.
I'm all right. I'm still battling. 3 weeks later, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what the hell is going around, but there's definitely something going around because a lot of people have it. So
yeah, I've been dealing with it too. You're not going to die, are you?
Oh no, never.
You're never going to die? Wow.
I am not going to die from this. I'm going to live forever.
Awesome. You know what? So will music. Well, welcome, gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be able to jump on this with you. It's the third time we've had 3 people on it. So if it ever gets weird, if it ever feels like we're talking over each other, or if I get too annoying by talking too much, just let me know. You say, Nick, shut up. Let the real guys talk.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into everything that has happened on Raw, and I do want to discuss some of the Royal Rumble highlights with you guys because we haven't talked about it yet. But before all that, I want to know a little bit about JPJ, kind of your history as a fan, the work that you do. I know you do a lot of different things in the world of pro wrestling and beyond. So, and just let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm JPJ. Been a wrestling fan, for as long as I can remember, since the early 90s. I'm not going to say my age. You can probably tell by the Santa beard that I'm not the youngest, but
That's great. It's a great beard.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. No, but I've been a wrestling fan for a super long time. I do mainly all my content is over on lovewrestling.ca. Website is based out of Edmonton, Canada. I am a Boston native. Don't hate me, I know, but I'm a Boston native, so that's my area where I'm from. But yeah, I do multiple shows over there. I do a show on Tuesdays and Thursdays called Firmly Love Wrestling, where we talk about WWE on Tuesdays and AEW on Thursdays. And then I've been doing a show called Between Two Beards with my main squeeze, Pluggo. This May will be 4 years we've been doing it. I've been doing that one for a while. So yeah, that's where I do a lot of my stuff. We're going to talk Royal Rumble. I was lucky enough to be doing media this past weekend at the Rumble. So I was there. I was in Indy. I met DC Hendricks there as well for the first time.
Yeah.
One of the pals
person.
here. Yeah. Great person. Great person. We sat next to each other at the Rumble in the press box, had a good time. So yeah, that's kind of the background of me. So I love wrestling. I talk all wrestling. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I asked Cory, I'm going to ask you too. Do you remember like your first memory of pro wrestling? Were you flipping through the channels and saw Hulk Hogan, or what was it for you?
So my grandfather watched wrestling. So every time we would go over there on Saturday mornings, like Wrestling Challenge or whatever it was back then was on. But I vividly, the thing that sticks out to me the most is SummerSlam 92 from Wembley.
Nice.
I think I was somewhere at a family thing or whatever, and it was on TV. And the first people that come out on that show is the Legion of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
And they came out on the motorcycles with Paul Ellering, and he had the doll. And I just remember I was like 7 or 8. That told my age. I said I wasn't going to do that, but whatever. But I was like, do math. But I was like 7 or 8, and I just remembered seeing those guys with the paint and the shoulder, and I was just like, okay. And then I was just kind of, that was it for me, man. And then I was kind of like a teenager during the Attitude Era with Stone Cold. I was like 7th, 8th grade, like that's in the wheelhouse, and it was just, there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Seeing those superheroes on TV, right? Those real superheroes. Mine was not that. I've told this story before, but my very first wrestling memory was when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were kind of in the midst of their feud really early on. I think it was now that I've gone back and watched it again. I think it was the Raw after WrestleMania 13.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was after that. It was after that because Bret Hart was in a wheelchair, and it was that infamous Raw where Bret Hart cut a promo on Shawn Michaels, and then Shawn Michaels kicked him out of his wheelchair.
Yep.
And that got me because I'm a sensitive baby boy, and I just saw this man kick this presumably like handicapped man
Yeah.
out of the wheelchair. And I was like, what is this madness? This makes me so sad. And then I turned in next week, and I've been here ever since. So that is the magic and the mystique of professional wrestling. And obviously, when talking about the magic of pro wrestling, Royal Rumble is one of those pay-per-views or premium live events that absolutely has just as much, sometimes more magic than even WrestleMania. You said that you were there live. Tell us about that. What was that experience like? I don't know how much Cory has done at these actual sites, but I have not been lucky enough to cover a WWE show. I've done some AEW shows, but never a show on the caliber of Royal Rumble. So what was that experience like for you?
It's a lot. It's a lot. But it was amazing. So I was lucky enough to do SummerSlam last year in Cleveland as well. So this was like my second big time. But it's great. Like Friday, all day Friday, they had like a community event. Then we had the junket where we got to interview people. So I went with Pluggo. So kind of the Beards took over the Rumble kind of thing. We got interviews with Penta, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax. We got to do some scrum stuff with Dom, Carmelo, Hayes, and all that fun stuff. And then there was a lot of, and the thing I like about the big events like these is there's a lot of independent things happening as well. There was a killer GCW show late Friday night that started at like 11:30 at night that went into the mornings. There was just independent shows all around the city. And then, you get to go to the Royal Rumble. It's, in my opinion, the best, my favorite pay-per-view of the year. It's just so exciting. The Rumble, the countdowns, the surprises and all those things. And it was just awesome. And then I was one of the lucky ones that got chosen to go to the press conference after the show too. So we did that. So it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's just so much stuff to see, but it's great. Like once you get a taste of it, you want to do it all the time. So it's really kind of like, how can I get there all the time? You know what I mean? But, it was a great experience, and seeing other friends in the media and things like that, meeting people like Hendricks and DC and like guys like, it's very rewarding too.
Absolutely.
So it's just a great time.
I think that is probably the funnest part about live wrestling shows is, it's cool to see the stars and do the stuff that you're doing, but to just be surrounded by other pro wrestling fans, that's so fun. You can ask somebody like, hey, who's your favorite pro wrestler? And they don't look at you like you just shot their dog or something like that. It's fun to be around. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you. It seems like you kind of had a busy weekend, so we appreciate having you here.
A fun weekend. It sounds
like. It was fun. It was fun. I saw Nick Gage fighting a death match at 2:50 a.m.
Yeah, that's the ideal time to see.
At 2:50 a.m. the night of the Royal Rumble, there was a Rhea Ripley lookalike contest. I don't know if you guys had seen that floating on social media.
Yep.
And then so it was at that show, and then Nick Gage surprisingly came out in the main event at 2:50 a.m. and had a death match. And I was like, all right.
I bet that was pretty good.
It was pretty good. He fought Hoodfoot, who is a
I love Hoodfoot.
Yeah, that was the main. That was it. It was Hoodfoot with Nick Gage.
Hoodfoot is a death match.
Yes.
A deathmatch guy as well. Yeah.
Yes, that was the main event at this show. There was probably like 45 of us in the building. And it was just like, this is insane. Nobody knew, or a lot of people didn't know Nick Gage was even going to be there. The music hit, and I was like, that's Nick Gage's music. And then he walked out, and I was like, holy crap, that's Nick Gage. And we're all looking around like, Nick Gage, what the hell? And it was just 15 minutes of madness, man. It was a good time.
Tony Khan says AEW fans are the freaks, but I don't think you're a freak unless you're watching Nick Gage at 2:50 whatever in the morning.
100%. 100%.
That's awesome. Well, that was your experience at the Royal Rumble, but I do want to know, both of you, what were your thoughts on the show itself? What'd you like? What'd you dislike? Cory, you haven't said a whole lot yet because we haven't let you. So what'd you think of the Rumble?
The Rumble as a whole was a good show. I do not agree with who won the Women's Royal Rumble, obviously. I have my opinions on Charlotte Flair and why I don't think she should have won the Royal Rumble, because it seems like every time she comes back, she's automatically thrown into a title program. So I feel like they should have given that spot to somebody else and had her play out a little bit longer to actually really earn that spot, compared to just, hey, I'm going to show up in a Rumble match. We announced it and I'm going to win it. So the match itself though was fantastic. The ladies put on one hell of a match. Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, and Liv Morgan going as long as they did. 1, 2, and 3, fantastic. The surprises that we got in that match, a few of them. We got Jordan Grace, who was supposedly going to be throwing her mom a birthday party. We had five girls from NXT show up. Trish Stratus appeared. So we had Alexa Bliss return. So a lot happened. The women's match I felt was pretty solid. I enjoyed it. Outside of the winner. The 2 out of 3 falls match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns was fantastic. Felt like it felt like a takeover type of match.
Yeah.
It felt like a TNA match too. They were wrestling their styles, kind of an independent style match. And they did a hell of a job. And having the Street Profits pop up in their hoodies, that was unexpected. As Angelo Dawkins was throwing people off by being on crutches all day before the show. Out in public on crutches, so the people were seeing him. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's injured. He's on crutches." He was doing the bit, and I love that because then you throw off the sheets and people get thrown off, and that's what the business is all about. So that match was good. Having them come in and make their presence known too. I think those are your next WWE Tag Team Champions right there. So that's a good way to get them reintroduced for being screwed out of so many opportunities. Then you had the hell of a ladder match.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
Brutal match.
Kevin
Don't worry,
Owens,
that's my cat.
Kevin
My cat
Owens
likes to
and Cody
drop kick the
Rhodes.
door. Yeah, he's like, you're talking wrestling, let me drop kick the door open.
They killed each other. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes killed each other. It was crazy match. My internet was messing up a little bit, so I had to go back and watch it. But yeah, they killed each other. Ultimately, Cody Rhodes came out of there as the victor, retaining the title. Kevin Owens took some brutal bumps.
If he didn't show up tonight, I was under the impression that he may have died. So
the Alabama Slam and him getting folded up like an accord, that was such a gnarly visual.
I had one of my friends told me told me that Kevin Owens was on his flight and he was good. So that was good to hear. That was good to hear yesterday that Kevin Owens was good. We'll talk about what happened on Raw later with him. And then the men's Royal Rumble was solid. You had all that star power in that match. You had the different visuals of the stars in the ring together. You had John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins in the ring at the same exact time. They went to brawling with each other. You had quite a few. You had the AJ Styles return. AJ Styles is officially back now. And we'll talk about him because something happened with him tonight. We'll talk about it. You had quite a few things. You had Penta and Rey start out 1 and 2, the first time ever in the Royal Rumble match where you had 2 luchadors starting out together, which was fantastic. Penta was the MVP of the men's Royal Rumble match, so that was good. I enjoyed that. Then you ultimately have the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match, Jey Uso, in a surprising decision. Jey Uso comes out on top and eliminates John Cena, and he's your 2025 Royal Rumble winner. Loved it. I love the unpredictability and I love the surprise. So the element of surprise is always good. But of course, people are always going to complain about something, and they're complaining about that. But you want surprises. You want something different. You got something different, and you're still going to bitch. So, but overall, the show was great to me. I really enjoyed the Royal Rumble, and it was a nice kickstart on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, JPJ?
I mean, I agree with most of the sentiments of Cory. I wasn't as anti-Charlotte winning as he is. I picked Io to win, but once she came out first, I was like, oh, maybe not. But I get that when it comes to Charlotte. That ladder match, I loved it. I love the brutality of it. I love those guys just beat the crap out of each other, and it just felt it felt more old school to me, like just a brute, like some of the spots, the Fisherman Buster that KO gave Cody is just brutal. And then the Alabama Slam, like we talked about, and that last visual of Owens just being literally folded up like an accordion was awesome. Yeah. And I felt like the women's Rumble was more based on like surprises and call-ups, and the men's was based more on storylines. That's kind of how I felt both Rumbles played out. And I agree with Jay. since when is it a bad thing that the company goes, hey, you know what? We're going to pick the most over guy.
You're right.
Jay's the most over guy. He clearly is the fans' top merch seller, had 70,000 plus people losing their minds, has everybody losing their minds during his entrance everywhere he goes.
Absolutely.
Think about how it was with Daniel Bryan way back in the day when he was the guy that we all wanted, and he was the most over guy, and they tried their best to just not give that to us.
Yeah.
And now you have the most over guy, and they kind of shock everybody and pick the most over guy, and you still got a bunch of clowns on the internet complaining about it. And it's like, what do you want? What do you want them to do? You know what I mean? It's just, but I loved it. I agree with Cory. I loved it. I thought it was out of nowhere. But whether you wanted him to win or not, if you're not happy for Jey Uso, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, because everybody should be happy for that guy. And you saw the emotion on his face tonight. Like, everybody should, whether you wanted him, picked him, bet him, whatever, you got to feel happy for that guy. You got to feel happy for that guy. And
yeah.
But again, I thought it was a great show. I thought it was a great show.
It was. And you were there live. I mean, it's easy for people to get on Twitter and talk about how Jay's not the right one to win the Royal Rumble. But you were there. Like, you heard the crowd. Would you say they were mostly behind him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he got a short entrance because it's a Rumble entrance, but the crowd was still yeeting and doing all those things that they do for his regular entrance. And it was 70,000+ people. Like, again, like, and even tonight, that entrance went on for 10 minutes tonight. Yeah. And they even stopped it and kept doing it because the crowd wasn't stopping. And I was sitting there going, okay, tell me again that this guy didn't deserve or shouldn't have won the Royal Rumble. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And I mean, the thing is, like, there are 2 nights of WrestleMania. There are 2 world championships. John Cena can challenge for a title anytime he wants. We know we're going to get Cody versus somebody great. We know we're going to get Roman and Cody and Seth and Drew in a great headline match.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Why not give the world title to Jey Uso, who has spent the last 5 years building this and working for this? So I completely agree with you guys. I co-sign everything you guys said about the Rumble. And Jay's entrance, that really does kind of lead us perfectly into talking about tonight. Jey Uso started the show. And like you said, the entrance went on forever. They restarted it. And if him winning the Rumble didn't let people know, oh, yeah, he's the guy, tonight absolutely should have, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
He came out. You saw him starting in the concourse like he always does now. He's up there with the fans, walks out, comes through the crowd. Immediately when he enters the arena, coming through the stands, you see 12,000, I think they had in attendance tonight. You had 12,000 people just start yeeting with him. And it goes on for about 12 minutes. They're all yeeting for about 12 minutes. He gets ready to cut a promo, and they tell him again, one more time. So he starts yeeting again with them. And I don't think you ever see anybody do that before, where their entrance ends and the crowd just tells them, keep going,
Yeah.
we love it. So he starts doing it, and you start seeing the crowd go crazy again. The energy is infectious when it comes to Jey Uso. And like we talked about, he's so over, man. The WWE doesn't give a damn about what the IWC says. Jey Uso is very over, and every single week that he comes out, you see the crowd is into whatever he's doing. Doesn't matter. Promo, match, entrance. Hell, last week on Raw, he had an entrance with Quavo. In Atlanta, and they took over the show for about 5 minutes, just yeeting the entire time. And Quavo's told Pat McAfee and Jey Uso that Michael Cole gave him the worst dap of all time during the entrance.
That tracks.
So yeah. Jey Uso doing his entrance with all these main scene players in the rap game and whatnot, people in pop culture, stuff like that, and then you see him doing it on his own. Also, he's so over, man, and he deserves it. He cut a promo, obviously talking about how he deserves this and he's gone through so much, and then he started getting emotional. He said, it's because of you guys. Because of you guys, I got this. And he gets interrupted by Gunther. Right. Gunther comes out and basically tells him, you're not worthy of this. Don't do it. I don't need I don't need and I don't want to face you again. So if you pick me, you're out.
Is that if Jey does in fact challenge Gunther, the story will most likely be about how he hasn't been able to beat him yet.
Mhm.
Can he finally get the win over Gunther, which is similar to last year's story between Gunther and Sami Zayn. So that is a fair criticism. Is that what you guys, if Jey does challenge Gunther, is that the way you think they'll go, or what's another way that they could
It's a
tell
redemption
the Jey Uso
story. Triple H loves his redemption stories, as you could see. You had Cody Rhodes with his redemption story, finishing his. Sami Zayn last year against Gunther, finishing his redemption story because he couldn't beat Gunther. So now Jey Uso's doing the same exact thing. He's lost 3 times to Gunther. If he loses again to Gunther, what is left for Jey Uso to do at this point? So it's basically a redemption story for Jey Uso now, and that's exactly the direction I see it going, just like last year.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be, hey, I haven't been able to beat you before. Gunther's going to talk him down. You're not. He even mentioned today, beating Cena, beating Punk, beating guys like that. Roman Reigns would help my legacy. Beating you, that does nothing for my legacy. And he's Gunther's perfect in that role. He is one of the ultimate heels that can just talk like that and talk down to his opponents. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, nobody's believed that I could do any of the things I've done. And nobody believes that I can beat you at WrestleMania, and I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania. And, and I think that is the redemption arc that we see. And they do go to it a lot, but it's a story that even though they go to it a lot, they do it well. They do it well. And I think this will be another one that everyone's going to be rooting for Jey. Or a lot of people. Obviously, I like Gunther. I'm a Gunther guy. But like a lot of people, the majority of the fans are going to be really rooting for Jey. And when he probably does win that belt at Mania, there's going to be 80,000 people or 90,000 people losing their friggin' mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
are we all probably in agreement that Jey is going to challenge Gunther?
I would think so. I think with both Rumble winners though this year, they have stories with whoever they pick.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you have the Charlotte with Rhea or Tiffany. You have Gunther and Jey who have built this, but then Gunther and Cody were tag team champions at one time together. They're friends, the whole bloodline. So both winners can pick their stories either way they go, either way they decide, which I think is pretty cool. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah, that's very interesting to where we'll talk about it in a little bit with the women's Royal Rumble winner and what happened tonight with that too. But yeah, like you said, they have the stories intertwining with whatever champion they choose. Don't forget there's a third brand that they can go and choose and challenge that champion too.
That's
true. And one of the champions or one of the winners that we'll talk about in a little bit, talk about her segment, already said tomorrow she's going to be on NXT. So
yeah, absolutely. I think Jey, whatever he does, whomever he chooses, I think we are going to see at WrestleMania 80,000 people yeeting. I don't know how to do it because I'm not cool enough. That's fine. I'll leave that to you guys. I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm sorry. But Jey did have a great segment. I do hope that we get at least one more promo from Jey that does kind of once again reference the story so far in his career. I want him to talk more about, was it him that said a couple of years ago about how they used to say, which one are you? I think that is such a powerful statement, and I'd love to see something that kind of expands on that, because Jey Uso really has kind of stepped out of that tag team. He's become one of the most over guys in pro wrestling, and like you said, it's very Daniel Bryan or Kofi Mania-esque. He's somebody that the crowd really can get behind. He does have that cool vibe that like not a lot of people can have. Like, I don't know if I would call Cody Rhodes cool. I don't know if I would call John Cena cool. I think Roman Reigns is cool. I think Jey Uso is cool. I think there's just something about these guys that anybody from 10 years old to 60 years old can get behind, and that's the magic of Jey. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited for the story. I'm not mad at anything that's going to happen. But since we agree that Jey is probably going to challenge Gunther, what do we think for the WWE Championship? What do you guys think is Cody Rhodes' next story for WrestleMania?
So the winner of the Elimination Chamber match will be the one that challenges Cody Rhodes. And from what I've been told, the guy that's chasing number 17 is the expected winner, especially with all of the promotion that they're doing for him for Elimination Chamber and this being his final year. So that's what I'm thinking is it's going to be Cody versus John Cena. And they have history. They have a story there. So that's going to be interesting to see when that does happen. I think just like the Rumble, they're going to stack the Elimination Chamber match. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to have 6 great competitors in that match from both brands fighting for whatever title gets announced, because Jey Uso is ultimately going to make his decision after he speaks to the champions. So I ultimately think I got told that it's going to be for the undisputed WWE Championship. So whatever happens there, I ultimately believe that we're going to get Cena versus Rhodes. And I don't think Cena's going to beat Cody. I'll be honest. I think the battle for Cena to win 17 is going to go the entire year. I think we're going to get a story of Cena being the guy still that he's been for the last 6 years. I can't win a match. I've got to keep fighting. And these people are going to be put over by Cena along the way. But ultimately, he's going to get his 17th world title eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree. I think I would expect Cena to win the Chamber. Obviously, we have to figure out who the other 4 gentlemen that'll be in there are going to be over the next coming weeks. But I do expect Cena to win. But I agree. I don't think Cena wins the belt. I think Cody beats him. And they further the story, because the way that he did that press conference by cutting that promo, making that statement, cutting that promo, that was a different kind of Cena that we saw there. And I think if he continues to lose in these big matches, we kind of see more and more of that. Cena has really never doubted himself, ever. And now he's in his last year and he's doubting himself. And now he's going to have the whole crowd behind him wanting him to win a title, maybe for the first time since he was like a new guy. You know what I mean? And it's like getting to that moment, I think they could really milk it.
The only time that Cena really doubted himself in his career is when he lost to Rock. When he lost to Rock the first time, he's like, what is there for me left to do now? I couldn't beat The Rock when I kept telling people all year long, I'm going to beat The Rock. So now I feel like we're going down a similar path with this, where he's like, I have to win number 17. I have this amount of dates left in my career. I'm going for number 17. And he's going to be the underdog. And people are going to get more and more behind him, because not only do we know it's his farewell tour, but he can't win. He keeps losing. So ultimately, I think that he will win 17. It's just going to take a while.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think that you mentioned that those comments during the press conference, it kind of seemed a little heel-esque from Cena, maybe a little bit entitled? Do you think we see any more, maybe not a full-fledged heel turn, but maybe just kind of some rough around the edges for Mr.
Absolutely.
Cena?
Like happened in the press conference for the Royal Rumble. He basically came out and said, I've given this company my everything for 23 years. I'm not qualifying for no damn Elimination Chamber match. I am putting myself in that match. I feel like I deserve it, but I still have to work for it through that chamber match. You have to work for what you want. So that basically said, I'm the guy who kept this company afloat, but I still want to do the work along the way. But don't get in my way, because I'm coming for what I want. So it's going to be a different type of John Cena that we get. I just, like you said, I don't think we're going to get ever a full turn because of how loved he is. But could we get a character change and character development along the way? Hell yeah, we can. We saw it with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is tapping into the Homelander side. Cody Rhodes is going to the side that he didn't want to go to. He told Kevin Owens at the Rumble, you made me do this. You made me do this. So I feel like we're going to kind of get a similar thing with John Cena where he keeps losing, he keeps losing, he keeps losing. And he finally says, screw it. I've got to change up what I'm doing. I'm going to do whatever it takes now for me to win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Cena. I think there's a bunch of ways they can go. I think the fans will be too behind him in his last year to go full heel turn, but I do expect some character development and some, kind of leaning into that. Cause look at what he said was 100% the truth, but
Right.
It was a little bit of entitlement, not saying he doesn't deserve it, but like it was, we rarely have seen John Cena say that he's deserves things.
Right.
He's always said, I work my butt off and I show up. And that's what he never has said. Oh, I deserve to be there. And he leaned into that at the Rumble, and he's not wrong. And Triple H said, yeah, you're right. He does. He's not qualifying. He's automatically in. So I think we're going to lean into that more. Hearing that what's best for business is me in the main event, is me there. And that's the first time we've really ever heard him talk like that. So I think that's a cool thing that they can lean into, especially if he continues to lose. Obviously, we're talking about him winning the chamber, but if he loses his big matches, you can lean into that a lot more, and it could be really, really interesting what they do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And speaking of entitlement, let's talk about, first let's talk about the first match on Raw, which was Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser. Great match, like another excellent showcase for Penta. Do you guys think that he's so far kind of been like a highlight of Raw? Do you think he's been shown in the spotlight that he deserves?
Absolutely. If you saw the website this week, Penta was the featured superstar on the website for Monday Night Raw.
Sure.
If you went to the Rumble, you saw all of the promotion for Penta around. So 100%, Penta has lived up to the hype that they've had so far for him, not only with the wrestling, but also the presentation. That entrance that he has, it feels like it keeps evolving every single week. And the more that they add to it, the more presentation looks fantastic. So, Penta's living up to exactly what he was hyped up to be in WWE. He's a star, and he's always been a star. Other companies just didn't know how to use him in that way. I feel like Triple H and WWE know how to use him, and it's only going to get better. He's going to keep winning matches. They're going to keep building him up to be a star, and then we're going to see him challenge for a championship possibly. So, yeah, Penta is him right now.
Yeah, I agree. And they have done a great job with his line of opponents that they have given him. They have given him a perfect row of opponents to go out there and have banger matches week after week after week and really showcase how special he is in the ring. And yeah, over the Rumble, like hearing him talk during these interviews, and I had the luxury of being able to talk to him. Why wasn't he talking more where he was last? He should have been talking more. Like he cuts a good promo. He's a great talker. And it's like,
they didn't trust him.
And whatever. But like, it's just like you said, other places maybe didn't know how to fully utilize him to where we're seeing that already. He walked in as a star. Like literally the first second he showed up, he was built and shown as a star, and he's going to sell $1 billion in merchandise because he just has one of the most badass looks ever. And he's just that guy. And, I got to interview him. We asked him about, because they had that little stare down with Braun last week, and we asked him about the IC title. He said he's interested in that in due time, that kind of and stuff like that. Like, I think that's where he's going to go. They're going to continue to build him, and then he's eventually going to be challenging for, a mid-card title or even the top title at some point. And yeah, man, the sky's the limit for that guy, because he has shown up and he has lived up to the billing big time. He's surpassed it, really.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely. I think that brief little mini match at the beginning of the Royal Rumble with him and Rey Mysterio, that was surreal to see, because it really was like watching the past versus the present, maybe the future. Do you guys think we'll ever see like a full-blown feud between Penta and Rey Mysterio? I was hoping for a Mania match.
I think that should be the Mania match still.
Yeah.
I don't know if they go that route. They probably don't. But
I think
yeah.
I think that we will eventually, but I think they're gonna ride this high of what they have Penta doing right now. And I don't think it would be smart to put Penta up against Rey Mysterio at this point because Penta is getting that babyface push at the moment. So I don't think it would be smart to put him against Rey just yet. The time will be right for that match to happen, probably later this year. They gave us the tease in the Rumble for a reason. They gave us that tease for a reason. But I don't think the time is right, Mania, just because of how they're trying to build Penta up to another level. Once they build Penta up and then he starts getting more and more into his aggressive side, that's when I think we're going to end up getting that match.
Do they have a PLE coming up this year in Mexico? Is that a thing? Because
nobody knows yet what's going on with the PLEs. Majority of the PLEs are going to be international again this year. That's been a focal point for this new regime, is putting the W in the WWE, putting the world in the WWE. So there's different locations. We saw that they announced Clash in Paris. Clash in Paris on August 31st. So all of these B tier PLEs that they have outside of the big ones, more than likely are all going to be international. So it's a possibility. I can see them doing one of the PLEs in Mexico. I just don't know which one. I know people want Backlash to be in Mexico because of that fake graphic that Wessel Votes put out on Twitter. I know a lot of people really want that. The Mexican wrestlers in WWE are pushing for a PLE in Mexico. Having these people come into the company from all over the world, internationally, from all of these different places, Scotland, Ireland, England, Mexico, Puerto Rico. You're gonna get your PLEs in these places, and those talent are going to be showcased. Like I said, I don't know for sure if they're going to do one in Mexico this year, but I would expect a PLE in Mexico in the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Well, one can hope. But speaking of international, we had kind of a mini team up, maybe, or at least a little bit of an allegiance with Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne. Do you think Pete Dunne was just kind of picking a fight with Penta, or could he become part of Imperium and develop even more of an alliance?
Pete Dunne came out there because he wanted to upstage Penta after that win. Penta obviously beat him already. He's still mad about that, and he hasn't really gotten the opportunity to go back after Penta. So that's why he was coming out at the moment. Ludwig Kaiser took the opportunity to attack Penta and take him out. Then you had that little interaction with Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser outside the ring where they're looking at each other. I think we'll probably see a match somewhere between the two of them. I don't think it was teasing towards maybe Pete Dunne joining Ludwig and Gunther. But I feel like we could potentially see a triple threat match between Pete Dunne, Ludwig Kaiser, and Penta from this. And judging by the way Penta has been in singles matches with these guys, I think that'll be one hell of a triple threat match.
Sure. Yeah, I'd watch that anytime. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I think the same. I think Pete Dunne was coming out to kind of get back at Penta for the loss. And then, I mean, I don't think it would be in, I saw somebody in the chat, but I don't think it would be in Pete Dunne, like him being at least maybe friendly with Imperium, maybe would do him some favors. But I think Cory nailed it. I think that this will turn into a triple threat match at some point, or maybe Penta just has to go through both of them somehow or something like that. But I think that's what we'll get. And if, like you just said, Nick, if that's a triple threat match, we're all going to have a real good time. We're all going to have a real good time with that one. So, I think either way you go, Penta's going to come out looking like the star that he is again. Like they're just feeding him, like I said, the perfect type of opponents where he can just showcase what he does best. And that's how you build a star, man. That's how you build a star, is put him in positions to succeed. And they have been knocking it out of the park with him since he's shown up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, moving on, speaking of superstars, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the return to Raw of Charlotte. And I don't know how she expected her first promo back to go, but I don't know if she was trying to be a heel or if the crowd kind of forced her into it. I felt bad for the lady. I felt like she was trying to be sincere and explain, like, hey, I missed you guys. I'm glad to be back. Crowd did not want to hear it. What do you guys think? Was that to be expected? Was Charlotte expecting it? What do we think?
I think, yeah, I would think that and you could tell, like, at first she was playing it off and, oh, I love you guys. No, it's cool. But then she was like, if you want to boo me now. And she said that line like, boo me now. And I was like, they probably knew that they were going to get some reaction. They saw the backlash.
And having Rhea come out too, like they knew. They probably knew that the fans were going to be booing more than they were cheering. So they were like, play it up a little bit, but then you lean into the Charlotte that we all know when you have to. And then it kind of led to what we saw after that, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely intentional to have her go out there and feel like she was going to let all of her emotions flow. It was definitely intentional because they knew the crowd immediately was going to turn on her. They knew with what they've been doing the last month between teasing her with the vignettes and her coming in and winning the Royal Rumble, that the crowd wasn't going to be happy. They know how the fans feel about Charlotte Flair. The fans enjoy Charlotte Flair, but the fans do not enjoy the fact that Charlotte Flair is getting handed opportunity after opportunity. So they knew what was going to happen. WWE expected that, and that's why she embraced it. She embraced it. She said, come on, boo me if you want to. Go ahead. I'm just glad to be here. Boo me.
Yeah.
So we talked about who we think Jey would challenge. Who do we think Charlotte's going to challenge at WrestleMania?
I'm sure. If you paid attention to SmackDown the last 2 weeks, you've seen her vignette play before a certain person comes out to the ring. So I'm pretty sure you know. I'm pretty sure you know that it's going to be Tiffy time. And she's going after Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah. But I did like, and Cory mentioned a little earlier, I did like how Charlotte mentioned NXT. And she said, I'm going there tomorrow to see Julia, because when Charlotte won the Rumble before, she picked NXT.
Yeah.
And she was the only person to ever do that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fitting for her to be the one that said, oh, maybe it's NXT because we can go back. You know, and again, like we talked about, she's going to go Tiffy. I think that's a match that writes itself, is her versus Tiffany at Mania. But like I said, she also has the story with Rhea Ripley because she's already fought her twice at WrestleMania, and they have 1-1 title. And she beat her for the NXT title, and then they had one of the best WrestleMania matches ever, in my opinion, a couple years ago. And Rhea got the win back, and now that would be the rubber match, right? If they went that way. But I think it's without question, it's Charlotte and Tiffany. I think that's the way they go.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, her saying that she's gonna show up on NXT tomorrow, I feel like that's great because WWE is treating NXT not like a developmental brand anymore. It's treating it like a true third brand. And honestly, that's the way it has been for a while. It's been their third brand. It's not a developmental anymore. Yes, you have developmental talent down there trying to get their reps in before they go up to Raw or SmackDown, but NXT is no longer a developmental brand. NXT is on the same tier as both of those. They have a network deal. They're on the same tier as Raw and SmackDown now. You have Raw and SmackDown talent going down to work NXT. So it's a third brand now. I like the way that she mentioned that because it gives the possibility that anything is possible. You could challenge any champion that you want from anywhere. And now that they're 100% treating NXT like a third brand.
Yeah.
Evolve is going.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see Evolve becoming that development. Yes, that's going to be
the prospects and the WWE ID participants. That's going to be the developmental brand.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that'll be great. It'll be cool to see Evolve on Tubi. I don't know if you guys ever go to Tubi. Tubi is my favorite streaming platform.
Got some good free stuff on there.
So much free stuff, and they've got like classic films, but they've also got this stuff that, Cory, you might not be old enough to remember. I think JPJ is. They've got the videos that you would like see at the video store shelves. Like you gotta move past, walk around the Disney, and then they have like The Stepfather 3 or something like that.
Yeah, like some random the old school movies that were like straight to VHS back in the day. So that we used to have to put tapes into things and like rewind and fast forward. If anybody,
VHS?
I don't know. Yeah,
Yes.
you know, we used to have these old dinosaur things that we
I'm
used to have
not
to
I'm not
do.
that young. I still tap in. I still tap into VHS and DVD.
Yeah.
So I'm not that young.
But Tubi will be that's a great get for them. I think Tubi will
100%.
benefit. I think WWE and Evolve will benefit. I think we as fans will benefit. It was awesome decision for them.
I just have to laugh at the placement of when they're airing it.
Yeah.
When is that? What is
they're airing it on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m.
Crazy, isn't it? Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Why are they doing that? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, right. What else could you possibly be watching
What
as
else
a
is
wrestling
on
fan
at 8?
Wednesday nights at 8 p.m.
on a
Oh,
streaming
man.
service, another streaming service?
Exactly.
Can you imagine
Exactly.
the Eric Bischoffs and Jim Cornettes of the world talking about if Evolve on Tubi outrates AEW Dynamite?
It would. I mean, I would probably laugh my ass off if that happened. But at the same time, it will kind of make sense because Tubi's free.
I was going to say Tubi's free.
You
so
you go watch Tubi. It's free. I don't think you're gonna get any ratings from Tubi, but that would be hilarious if that happened.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the wrestling business. It's exciting to be live. Speaking of exciting, Sami Zayn is always exciting. He had a brief interview with Jackie Redmond talking about how he needs to focus on the Elimination Chamber. She tried to ask him about Kevin Owens, but he didn't really have a whole lot to say. Then he confronted Jey Uso and what we thought might be a little contentious. He was just there for hugs. He was just there to congratulate his buddy, which is in line with Sami Zayn's character. But then the proverbial devil on his shoulder, as he's been for many superstars before, Karrion Kross showed up. And I want to know what you guys think about Karrion Kross as a character and also about the potential feud between Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. What do you guys think, Jay?
I think what they're doing right now and have been doing a little bit for now with Karrion Kross was how he should have been presented the second he got on the main roster.
Sure.
Obviously, different regime, whatever. But like this right now, I have been digging what they've been doing for the last almost like 6 months to a year with Karrion Kross. Everything he says and everybody that he talks to, it affects them. It affects them, and they move on to either different segments of characters. Obviously, we saw the Xavier Woods stuff lead to like the New Day turn and all this stuff. I am really digging what they're doing with Karrion Kross, and I think that this was something they should have done a lot sooner. But I am all in on it, and I am all in on a Karrion Kross Sami Zayn feud. I'm very interested in that. I feel like if they keep building Karrion Kross this way, I think that he's going to be inching towards the top of the card probably sooner than we might think, because I'm really digging what they're doing with him.
I have to agree. I'm really enjoying the Karrion Kross presentation on the main roster this time around, which, like you said, it should have been this way the last time he was called up to the main roster before he ultimately got released from the previous regime. I'm enjoying everything that he is getting involved with, all the people that he's getting involved with. Whoever he gets involved with, they're never the same. They change. Their mentality changes. So I'm really digging that. The Final Testament as a group right now, I'm enjoying them. I really like the pairing of the Authors of Pain with him. Then you have the two talking heads behind them. You have Paul Ellering and you have Scarlett whenever she needs to talk. I think eventually we'll probably see Scarlett step into the ring against whoever they feud with that has a female in there. I thought it was going to be against the Wyatt Six, but after what Nikki Cross did to her in that locker room segment a few months ago. But yeah, ultimately I'm really enjoying the Karrion Kross presentation. I hope they keep it up, because you can elevate him from what he's doing right now into more of, let me go and be this main event player that I'm trying to be. I heard in interviews he's saying that he's having the most fun that he's ever had in his career. This is his place to be. This is where he's wanted to be. So I feel like Karrion Kross, the booking of Karrion Kross right now, when he gets his limited TV time, but also what he does on social media. Because if you don't see what he does on social media, he's furthering a lot more on social media with what he says. So go and see what Karrion Kross does on social media too, because that plays into his character 100%. And I'm really enjoying it. I really am.
And he's a Triple H guy, man. Triple H loves him. He brought him down to NXT. He won both those belts from Keith Lee very quickly at that time, and he got hurt, and that kind of stunk with what, but like, he's a Triple H guy. So everything they're doing with that guy, I can tell that Triple H is hands-on with it. There's a long-term plan for him. And yeah, they're doing very good by him. They're doing right by him right now.
Yeah, he reminds me of, this was a gimmick that I thought had such potential. You guys remember when Sean O'Hare was doing like the devil's advocate character? He only did it for like a month or so.
I was gonna say that was quick, right? Yeah,
the same thing where he would encourage people to kind of embrace their darker side, and then his catchphrase was, "But I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know." And that's I like that, because we all have people in our lives that do that. Maybe they're a friend, maybe they're a friend of me, but it's always that person that says, yeah, why don't you do this thing that will probably harm you? What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think pairing him with Sammy, I think that could finally lead to. I don't think Karrion Kross so far has had a standout match in WWE or NXT. He definitely had a lot better matches in NXT. But I think Sami Zayn, if anybody, could give Karrion a match that makes people go, oh yeah,
absolutely,
this guy's great.
Yeah, 100%. And looking at social media, I see that Karrion Kross is commenting on what happened with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And yeah, I definitely feel like when the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stuff is over, I think Karrion Kross might be the move for Sami Zayn. And like you said, that'll be a good match. Sami Zayn can bring the best out of anybody, so I think that'll be a good match.
I agree.
Well, Karrion Kross, two people that he kind of did infect a little bit were Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, who tonight they took on Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio Jr. The match was what it was, but Logan Paul surprisingly came out to distract Rey Mysterio. They're going to fight next week to see who qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. A lot has been said about Logan Paul. A lot has been tweeted about Logan Paul. I am not a fan of Logan Paul, just because of who he is as a human being, but you can't deny he's good at this pro wrestling thing. What do you guys think of Logan Paul, and what do you think? What do you expect out of him during WrestleMania season?
What do I think of Logan Paul? Like you said, him as a person, I'm not a big fan of. Him in the business though is a different story. When he's in the ring, very good, very, very good. Him embracing being a heel is very, very good, but him as a person is not very good. I'd expect, like you said, for WrestleMania, what's going to happen with him. After the events of what went down at the Rumble, I'm expecting a Logan Paul versus AJ Styles match.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that is the direction that they're going to end up going. But yeah, like I said, Logan Paul can go in ring. I'm just not a fan of who he is as a person, so I can't cheer for him ever.
Yeah, I agree. I am with the group here. I could care less about him as a person. I don't think he is a good person, and I have my opinions of him as a person. I'm not. It could be so much worse if he wasn't as good as he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine like he wasn't at least good at this, and he was being on TV as much as he is because he is who he is, and he was.
Or does that make us hate him more because God?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. He doesn't deserve good things.
Yeah, I think it works for the character because he sits there and you hate him because of, the personal stuff or who he is. But then at the end of the day, you're like, he is good. Like what he's saying about him being talented and all that stuff. Like he's not really lying. We just all know he's a piece of crap. Right. So we're like, no, we don't want you around. We don't really like you. But it could be a lot worse if he wasn't as good as he is like at the wrestling side of it. But yeah, as a person, I could
I agree, Corey. I do think it'll be Logan Paul versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania, which, like we just said, could be the match of the night. AJ Styles had the best WrestleMania match with Shane McMahon a few years ago. Him and Logan Paul can put on something great, and it puts AJ Styles in a position where, for the first time in a long time, he can be just that baby face that we all just want to love and respect, and he can be the one to just beat up Logan Paul. Hopefully, he can win the match, but I think that'd be a great WrestleMania match.
Yeah, you mentioned Shane McMahon and AJ Styles. I was WrestleMania 33. I was there in person.
Okay.
I definitely enjoyed the hell out of that match.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite matches of the night there. If anybody can work with Logan Paul, AJ Styles is one of them. You've seen Logan Paul working with guys like Roman Reigns. That match was fantastic. I think we're going to get two high-flying guys with AJ Styles and Logan Paul. So I think that their styles are going to, no pun intended, but I think their styles are going to fit with each other. So yeah, I would 100% like to see that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It will not be a Styles clash.
I see what you did there.
Sorry. So following that match, they did show a recap of the Royal Rumble situation between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. To me, that was the most interesting part of the match. I fully expected CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble. So when goddamn Logan Paul, and I had a few buddies over, and we were just talking about the what ifs that could happen, and thinking I was just being a smartass, was like, wouldn't it be funny if Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk? And then literally like 3 minutes later he did, and all of my friends just looked at me and didn't say a word, but they made me leave the party, which it was at my own house, so that was a bummer. But it was interesting between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Obviously, all three men have history. Before we get into what CM Punk said in his interview with Kathy Kelly, what did you guys think of that specific situation? And is that going to lead to a potential triple threat match at WrestleMania?
The situation between the three of them is far from over. They gave an update on Roman Reigns during the show on commentary, and Michael Cole said that nobody is going to give them the medicals of what's going on, but it looks like Roman Reigns is going to be out for the foreseeable future. So that's far from over between the three of them. I think what I think is going to ultimately end up happening is we're probably going to end up getting Seth Rollins in that chamber match also, and Roman Reigns is going to show up. Roman Reigns is going to screw not only Seth Rollins, but he's going to screw CM Punk. And I think the direction that we're ultimately leading to now is we're probably going to end up getting a main event match at WrestleMania between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk.
Yeah, I fully agree. That's what I was going to say. I think Roman will not be in the Elimination Chamber match. We probably don't even see him until the Chamber if they're playing off that he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. But I expect we do see him at the Chamber, and he will be the reason why Punk and Rollins do not win that match. And then I think that is what we get. And look at Roman Reigns is a main event at WrestleMania. That's what he is. All right. Like, that's who he is. It might not be for a title. It wasn't for a title in night one last year. I think that's a main event match at night one. I still think both Rumble winners should be the main event in each night. That's what the Rumble is based on.
Sure.
But it's going to be hard to not see Roman Reigns in one of the nights of a main event in WrestleMania. And if you're going against CM Punk and Seth Rollins in a triple threat, I mean, that's a match that is going to be very, very good. Very, very good with that. And that's a star-studded triple fight. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
that's huge.
That is worthy. Just personally, do you guys consider now that WrestleMania is 2 nights, do you consider the last match on night one to be the or a main event of WrestleMania?
Yeah, I still believe that it's a main event. Because even though WrestleMania is split between 2 nights, it's still closing out the show. So it's still a main event to me. it still counts as a main event. If it didn't, then you wouldn't have the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn saying that they main evented WrestleMania 39. You wouldn't have The Rock being able to say that he main evented WrestleMania 40 with Seth Rollins, Roman, and Cody. So yeah, to me it's still a main event. Doesn't matter because they could ultimately put the biggest match between the two nights on night one, and it would be a main event.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree with that.
And that's good because that none of those three men need a world championship to be a main event. And it's something that finally for CM Punk, that's the one thing he's been missing. And that's what makes fans kind of get behind wrestlers like that is we like their wrestling characters, but we also want them as human beings to achieve their goals and dreams and get what they deserve. And so CM Punk being able to main event WrestleMania is just as good as CM Punk getting a world title match. Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. Yeah, I think I ultimately think that favor that Punk has with Paul Heyman is going to tie into getting into that match for WrestleMania, making it a triple threat.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe they would just go, hey, they'll play it off that it's going to be Roman and Seth first, just one-on-one, and then Punk will go, you owe me a favor. I want in on that.
I want in on that match because they both have screwed me over multiple times in my career. I don't like either one of them. Put me in that match. You owe it to me. I helped you out at War Games. You're going to get me in the main event that I have always wanted.
Yeah, and that I've deserved. And I think that's how they do it. I think that's how they do it.
That's a good way. And that's better than Punk using a favor to get a world title match or winning the Royal Rumble or Jey Uso giving up his winning status. That it aligns more with CM Punk's character.
Yeah, I agree.
Is really good. Speaking of, we're talking about these three men. Obviously, one of all three of their biggest foes is Drew McIntyre. Corey, I know that you kind of have sometimes the backstage lowdown. JPJ, I know you do too sometimes. What do we make of the Drew McIntyre situation and what went down at Royal Rumble?
What happened? Drew had every right to be upset because the spot was supposed to happen a lot sooner than it did. His elimination. Him and Damian Priest were supposed to have a moment there, and it didn't go the way that it was supposed to because of LA Knight. LA Knight was trying to upstage multiple people in that match, dealing with Roman Reigns, dealing with Logan Paul. He wasn't even supposed to deal with Logan Paul at that moment. It was supposed to be later on. Logan Paul was not supposed to be in the match when Drew McIntyre got eliminated. So Drew McIntyre had every right to be upset with the way it went because it looked a little sloppy on TV because they bumped into him, and it's like he still got thrown out of the ring after they got bumped into like nothing. They were supposed to have this big moment. They were supposed to get a few seconds on camera where Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are staring at each other. And you didn't really get to see it. You could tell Drew McIntyre was frustrated
immediately.
You could tell immediately when they showed him on camera getting eliminated, he was frustrated, and rightfully so. But now cooler heads have prevailed. Everything is okay. Now we're gonna see people were talking about Drew McIntyre not being on Raw tonight. That is because Drew McIntyre will officially be a SmackDown member.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
he's going to SmackDown because Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are feuding going into WrestleMania.
Yeah. And for me, it just felt like that was, they were supposed to have that moment to build that feud because that is going to be the Mania match, it seems. But Drew McIntyre being eliminated from the Royal Rumble should have been a much bigger deal than it ended up being because of this as well. So it was kind of like, Drew was probably a top 4-5 favorite to win the thing. Like he was on the short list of people you could see winning the Rumble. And that moment of him getting eliminated should have just been such a bigger deal than it was. And I think that not only did the moment between him and Priest get ruined, but his elimination it felt like, oh, all right, Drew's out.
That's just something that happened on there.
Yeah, and it was like, that should be a big deal. Like, it should be a big deal that Drew got eliminated. And it was just kind of like Corey just said, like, oh, that just kind of happened there. All right, well, cool. Yeah. And like you said, immediately, the second the camera looked at him, you could tell that he was fuming.
So do you guys know
the reports we heard,
there have been various reports. Some are saying it was Logan Paul. Some are saying it wasn't. Some are saying it was LA Knight.
It was
Do you
LA
know
Knight.
who
It was
specifically
LA Knight.
It was LA
He
Knight.
was frustrated with LA Knight. A few others were frustrated with LA Knight. Like
Yeah.
I said, now cooler heads have prevailed. They're over it. There's no internal heat on LA Knight for the moment either. They just felt like WWE felt like it was
An
miscommunication.
accident?
So yeah,
Shit
that's
happens.
so there's no heat on him, and things are going forward as planned when it comes to WrestleMania season.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. I'd love like Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Some people are saying it's a nothing match, but
Oh yeah,
the two guys that
it's
Two big
that's
dudes that are going to beat the
that's
crap out of each
two,
other.
that's two main event guys within the last year and a half. So
Mhm.
Drew
we
McIntyre,
we forget that
McIntyre
Damian
obviously
Priest
cashed in.
defeated Drew McIntyre for the world
Correct.
title last year.
Correct. There's a
There's
story
already
built
history.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Story
which
built
is
in, man.
what I when it comes to that, you think Drew McIntyre had arguably the best year of his career last year, from a character standpoint and a match standpoint. And then obviously you have Damian Priest being the world champion. Damian Priest solidified his main event status when it came to his character there. So you have two main event players going at it. Obviously, it's not going to be a main event match at WrestleMania, but it's going to be a big time match. I saw a lot of people saying they want to see LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre because of the situation.
Sure.
Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre is going to be just fine, guys. It's going to be just fine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. Rhea Ripley came out almost immediately, and that kind of led to Rhea Ripley went after Liv and Raquel Rodriguez, which kind of started a little tension with Io Sky. So are we probably in agreement that might be the other women's world title match at WrestleMania?
I've been told for a while that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky is the direction that they were going to go for WrestleMania. They keep teasing it on TV. They don't tease stuff on TV for no reason. They don't do that. This regime does not tease anything for no reason. So you saw it again tonight. Io walks by and she has her interaction with Rhea backstage. They then obviously they get attacked by La Familia. You have Raquel and Liv take both of them out, and then we go to the match. We have the match tonight, and the match was great, fantastic match for
very
both
good.
women. Liv got busted open, I believe, on her lip from a knee from Io Sky. Liv's counter into the code breaker was fantastic.
Yeah.
They were moving. It was great. Ultimately, Rhea Ripley comes out because Raquel Rodriguez keeps getting involved. She takes out Raquel Rodriguez, and Liv Morgan grabs her, and she punches Liv Morgan. The referee sees it. We get a DQ finish. Liv Morgan qualifies for the Elimination Chamber via DQ. Io Sky is frustrated. Io Sky is fuming. She tells Rhea Ripley basically, "You just cost me my chance at WrestleMania." Walks away. So yeah, I think they keep teasing it more and more. I think that is the direction we're going for WrestleMania with those women. I can't confirm or deny that. This regime is very quiet when it comes to stuff like this. They have a lot of discussions for different matches, but they're not going to outright tell you this is what's happening. And you can see we have 2.5 months left until WrestleMania now. So there's going to be a lot that happens between now and then. So, yeah, but I think that's the direction we're going.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Io and Liv match up. They have great matches together. They had a good one at Saturday night's main event. I thought tonight was really good too. I have been thinking, like, I had Io was my original pick to win the Rumble.
Mine too.
And obviously she didn't. They went with Charlotte. I assume there'll be some sort of last chance match, maybe, to get Io back in the chamber as the sixth person, hopefully, or they'll figure it out. Some
qualifier.
Yeah, last chance qualifier with all the losers of the original first 5, and they do it that way, and Io gets in that somehow that way, because to me, it does seem like Io and Rhea has been the direction for a little bit. They did that tease when they were both still chasing Liv, when they were both holding the title at the end of that Raw. They've been teasing it a little bit the last couple weeks, so it seems like that is where they're going, and that match will be incredible. Incredible if we get that at WrestleMania.
this year, maybe more than any other, there is a solid 5 or 6 matches that could be women's matches potentially, because we've got possibly Alexa Bliss versus Liv Morgan. We've got whatever is going on with Bianca Belair and Naomi and Jade Cargill. We've got Chelsea Green's the United States champion. We've got the women's Intercontinental Championship. There is so much potential, and that's nothing but a good thing.
Yep, I agree.
Well, speaking of good things, I'm really good at these segues. AJ Styles is the latest good thing to happen to Raw. They announced that he is officially a Raw superstar, as is Logan Paul. So do with that what you will. Hopefully he will be around soon. But Braun Breaker interrupted and said, I don't care about AJ Styles. I don't care about Logan Paul. All I care about is what's next for me. So what is next for Braun Breaker? What do you guys think? Does he have a match at Elimination Chamber? Is it just Penta at Mania? What do you guys think?
I understand Braun Breaker's frustrations on TV.
100%.
Because lately what he's been doing is backstage segments and sitting in the crowd waving. Hi, guys. I'm still here. I'm still your Intercontinental Champion. I'm just not wrestling on TV. So, yeah, he has every right to be upset with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce has not focused his attention towards Braun Breaker in the Intercontinental Championship. You saw it last year sometime. Braun Breaker was taking out anyone and everyone because Adam Pearce wasn't giving him the time of day, and he said, "I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep doing this." So he suspended him. You had that whole thing with Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov. So yeah, Braun Breaker has every right, storyline wise, on TV to be upset that he's not being featured like he should be. Ultimately, last week there was a segment during a commercial break where Penta and Braun Breaker had an interaction. They had an interaction in the Royal Rumble as well. I think we're going to ultimately see Penta going after that Intercontinental Championship on the winning streak. Could he be the one to dethrone Braun Breaker? Possibly. Do I see Braun Breaker having a match at Elimination Chamber? No. I think Braun Breaker is probably going to have a big match on the Raw before Elimination Chamber, because that's what WWE likes to do. They like to put these damn title matches on the show before the PLE, so they can say, let's stack these shows before the PLE, because we can't put more than 4 or 5 matches on these PLEs. So I think we're going to end up having a number 1 contenders match somehow for that, which ultimately it could be Ludwig versus Pete Dunne versus Penta. That could be it. But yeah, Braun Breaker, oh my goodness, so much I could say about him. So much I could say about that man. Especially what happened in the Rumble. Viewed
I was just going to say
300 million times in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, so I was going to say we kind of glossed over that when we were talking about the Rumble at the beginning, but that spear, first of all, the spear that he hit on Roman later, also incredible. But that spear that he gave to that poor kid, that kid's 20, like that poor kid.
He's 20 years old.
20 years old, got friggin' wrecked. That was incredible.
I want to know how fast he came off of those ropes.
Dude, and
because he's been clocked at 23 mile an hour running those ropes. He's a damn football player running the ropes, hitting a tackle on show speed.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with Braun Breaker. And you mentioned the Roman spear too. Roman was not quick enough to launch to get his spear, so Braun Breaker took advantage and hit his own. The kid is incredible.
Right now, he's my too early to pick Money in the Bank guy. I think he's the Money in the Bank guy, and he should be. You know,
think he drops the title and then gets inserted into the Money in the Bank match?
I think he probably, if they go the Penta route, I could easily see Penta getting a moment at Mania and taking the belt off him, and then he gets in the Money in the Bank. And he's
I can see that.
He's the guy.
I can see that as well.
That, you know, I think that is an easy route, because it's the second. Look, we saw, you could tell in NXT, but like the second he's been on the main roster, you know immediately that guy is the future of the company. He's gonna be a multi-time world champion, WrestleMania main. He's the guy. He's one of. They have a bunch of those guys, but he is clearly one of those guys. And I could see him being in the main event, being in the Money in the Bank and taking it home, and kind of everyone knowing, like, yeah, kind of how Tiffany Stratton, we knew
Yeah,
We knew
that's
Tiffany Stratton was this person.
the
you know?
mid-card title is always the way to elevate yourself to the main
100%.
event scene. So when
Yeah.
he does drop it, yeah, like you said, he can win Money in the Bank, and he's going for the world title,
Mhm.
getting in that main event scene, and he deserves it. He deserves it. He has the look. He's got the move. He deserves it. Whatever route they go with him.
Yep.
So
For
Yeah,
sure.
I think he's a great Intercontinental Champion. I will say, God, I hate the Intercontinental Championship belt. I miss the oval title. That's what I grew up with in the
Yeah.
90s with The Rock and Ken Shamrock and Triple H. You guys think they'll ever bring that back, or are they pretty set on this current design?
this current design, they like this one. It's different. Them adding the blue
blue.
globes to it made it a lot more than just a
Mhm.
plain ugly coin title.
Yeah.
So it looks a lot better with the blue globe on it. But I don't ever think that they'll ever go back to the old school.
Yeah, I would agree. The hint of the blue that they added when Jey won it was needed. It was much needed. It kind of gives it kind of that old school feel,
Absolutely.
like look in those places. But yeah, I think that's probably the belt to stay for a while.
That's fair. Well, I'll just get over it. Oh well. Closing out, we've been here for quite a while already. Thank you guys for giving me your time. Thank you to everybody that's watching, commenting. Blackhawk, the Elite Spear. We want to shout you guys out for keeping the conversation
Shout
going
out my guys. Hey
in
guys.
the comment section. Seth Rollins came out and kind of broke down what his experience was at Royal Rumble. He said he's happy for Jey Uso. He's also happy that CM Punk failed and was eliminated by Logan Paul. Then he brought up Roman and said he's glad that he hurt Roman and he doesn't mind telling people that he's proud of it. So I don't think this was between Saturday and tonight necessarily a heel turn per se, but I do think that, like we said with Cena, he's showing a bit of an edge.
I want a little bit of a character shift week by week.
Yes.
I want to see it before we get the full blown heel turn. He's done it a few times now where he's teased it by doing stuff that looks like he's going to be a full blown heel, but ultimately doesn't jump into it just yet. So I think we're going to see it over the weeks, especially after he gets screwed out of the Elimination Chamber match.
Mhm.
So, I think that's the direction we're going. I honestly did not understand the point of this promo tonight. He's just in there dancing and hyping up Sami Zayn and all this and that. It makes you look stupid.
He looked cool doing it, though. I loved that outfit tonight.
The outfit is Seth Undertaker Rollins.
That's what it looked like. It was like, all right. But I thought him wearing the all black meant something as well, because I do think that dark side is coming soon.
It's representing
for Seth.
Some type of symbolism.
Exactly. And I think if we get that triple threat, Roman and Punk aren't going to be the heel in that match. Rollins is going to be the heel.
Punk is definitely going to tap into that side also.
A little tweener.
Punk is going to be, you have Roman as the guy who obviously is going to come back for revenge after what Seth did. I've never seen Seth Rollins do a double stomp like that before. That was vicious.
Yeah.
That was also viewed on social media a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it made him kind of look dumb, just in there hyping up Sami Zayn. He called him out to the ring, started saying, "I believe in you, Sami Zayn. This is your time. You need to go and punch your ticket to Elimination Chamber, this and that." I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, I'll ask you, did you get the vibe? Because I kind of felt it. Did you get the vibe that you thought that Seth might have cost Sammy the match? The way he was being so pro Sammy? You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of weird.
I feel like it could have been mind games that he was hyping up Sami Zayn just a little bit. But at the same time, I just felt like there was no point in that promo, but just to get Seth Rollins on the show.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get Seth Rollins on the show, you could have had him go out there and do commentary or just be ringside, have his music hit halfway through Sammy and CM Punk or something. You didn't need him to go out and cut a promo. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the character evolution of Sammy after what happened. We'll talk about the match in a little bit, but I'm also looking forward to the character evolution of Seth Rollins because I'm a big fan of heel Seth Rollins. Yes. I don't like babyface Seth Rollins. I think the idea of a babyface Seth Rollins is stupid. him as a heel is so much better. So much better. So I'm looking forward to the evolution that we're going to get in the next few weeks with him.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. It'll be a very fun story to watch these three personalities go at it over the next couple months. I think it will be very fun. Speaking of fun, CM Punk versus Sami Zayn was the main event of Raw. That is a dream match in any company. It's been something fans have wanted since Ring of Honor. What do you guys think of the match? Did it meet expectations for you?
The match was incredible.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Netflix fucking sucked, and it kept glitching every few seconds, especially at the end of the match. It was glitching and glitching and glitching and glitching, but you ultimately saw CM Punk counter the haluva kick into a GTS to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, and then CM Punk shows respect to Sami Zayn. They do a handshake. CM Punk is walking out the ring. Sami Zayn has his back turned. And who shows up? Sami Zayn's best friend.
Shades of NXT TakeOver, Kevin Owens.
Was still wearing the Sami Zayn Forever shirt, by the way.
The same shirt that he wore, shirt that he wore last week. He wore it again this week. Only this time he attacked him, hit him with a package pile driver, and just stood over him like, yeah, you didn't help me on Saturday like I told you to, so now I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. You may have showed up outside the ring, checked on me. You also checked on Cody Rhodes. You didn't help me get the job done, so screw you. I got you now.
Yep, I fully agree. The match, incredible. Like, just truly, like, and as good as we all expected it to be once we heard that they announced it earlier today. Like, it was like, oh, and it lived up to the billing. It was
social media went crazy over it because people were like, the Rumble really pissed me off. I don't want to watch Raw. And then Adam Pearce comes out at like 4:00 on the WWE social and says, we have 2 elimination qualifying matches tonight. You have Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, and you have CM Punk versus Sami Zayn. When people heard CM Punk versus Sami Zayn, they said, all right, you got me back.
It was an excellent match. And then the angle, I mean, look at that package pile driver. That is one of the best looking moves. I loved it when he did it all on the indies. I was hoping I get the pile driver stuff, but the fact that they're letting him use that,
how exciting.
I love it. It just looks devastating every time.
It's brutal, and it makes the point for him, whereas you have guys using this as a regular moves elsewhere, and it's like it takes away the authenticity of that move because it's supposed to be used as a finisher. It's supposed to take people out, whereas other guys are just using it as a normal move, and you have people kicking out at 1 and 2. When Kevin Owens uses it, you have people out multiple weeks from it. He killed Randy Orton. Killed Randy Orton before Survivor Series, and we haven't seen him since. Cody Rhodes, Saturday night's main event, got taken out. Cody Rhodes was out for a few weeks. He's out, 2.5 weeks?
I think it has 2.5, almost 3 weeks. Yeah.
Because they did it at the beginning of December to be smart. They did it so that they had the holiday tour coming up towards the end of December. So you did it at the Saturday night's main event, and then you got about 2 weeks off. You had that tape SmackDown where Kevin Owens has the Winged Eagle title and says, this is mine. This is my brand. I'm the champion. And then Cody Rhodes does the holiday tour. He's wearing the neck brace. He's still selling the injury. He's wrestling with the neck brace. So that's how you know it was a brutal move. He's using the neck brace outside. Like he went to Disney. He had the neck brace on. So he was selling it entirely. That's what you're supposed to get from that move. The package pile driver is devastating. And the way that Kevin Owens is being able to use it on WWE TV as a move that's taking people out and taking them out for a while, I really, really enjoy that.
Yep. Big time.
JPJ and I were talking before we got online. At first, I thought it would be KO versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, but Elimination Chamber is coming up. It is in Toronto. They have already fought at WrestleMania. What do you get? Do you think we're going to postpone this to Mania, or do you think they could fight in Toronto?
It's a Mania match. You need to do this at Mania under Triple H. Triple H booking this into Mania season. It makes sense for them to do it in Canada. It would make sense for them to do it in other parts of Canada, not Toronto, because neither one of them are from Toronto.
Sure.
So it makes sense for them to do it in Canada. But at the same time, this is a program that you want to bring into WrestleMania. This is a money match.
Yeah.
A money match. Yes, we've seen it before, but we've never seen it before at this level where Kevin Owens is basically Kevin. This is Kevin Steen. Kevin
Yeah.
Steen on
Yeah,
WWE
this is that guy.
television. This is Kevin Steen on WWE television officially. And we've never seen it that way. Not to mention the old guy is not booking this angle. So I think this needs to be a WrestleMania match.
Yeah. And we've seen some form of Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for 15, 20 years now. And every time they do it, it's one of the best matches you'll ever see. So it's, to have them on that stage, if that match opened up one of the nights of Mania or something like that, that is just, they're going to kill it. And they're going to, my only question would be,
what.
a lot of people were expecting Randy Orton to potentially maybe come back at the Royal Rumble. When Randy Orton comes back, obviously we know the long-term story is Cody probably down the line, but he's got to answer to KO. So if I want Sami and KO to be a Mania match, but if they do bring it to Mania, are we not seeing Randy Orton until after Mania now? Are they gonna, or does he come back and do something else? Because you would think when he comes back, he's going straight for Kevin Owens, obviously. So
the thing that I question right now, though, is Kevin Owens showed up on Monday Night Raw tonight. The transfer window is over. So Kevin Owens, is he a member of the Monday Night Raw roster now because he came after Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw? That's my biggest question. What are we doing? Did he officially get transferred to Monday Night Raw also? If that's the case, then I don't think Randy Orton can go after him. But if he's still a SmackDown star that just showed up to attack his former best friend, and then that just means maybe Sami Zayn is going to SmackDown, possibly, maybe. But the transfer window is over. So Sami Zayn was on Raw tonight as a member of the Raw roster. So that's the only question that I have. If Randy Orton's going to come back and come after KO, how's he going to do it? Is he going to be a member of the Raw roster too? If not, you have Randy Orton come back in a different spot later on in the year and feud with Cody Rhodes.
My ideal, I think we agree that probably WrestleMania is going to be Cody versus Cena and the triple threat with Roman and Punk and Seth Rollins. But my ideal WrestleMania would be Gunther versus Jey, but then have Cena versus Orton as just for their legendary feud. They've never fought one-on-one at WrestleMania. And then you could have Seth versus Roman one-on-one, come back to the triple threat later on, and then have Punk versus Cody. So I like where it probably will go, but in my opinion, because I thought of it, that's the better card. What do you guys? It probably won't happen, but
I mean, I'm very pro Cody being Cena's last match. I'm very pro that
being his last WrestleMania match.
His last WrestleMania match. No, I think it should be his last match.
So you think in December Cody should be the one to have that?
I think they should do. I think they should do a Saturday night's main event. And I know
face versus face of the company versus face of the company.
I think so. That's what I would do. I mean, I think it. And I know I'm a homer, but I think it should be in Boston. That Cena was billed from Massachusetts. It should be the Saturday night's main event in December in Boston, in front of his home, even though he hasn't lived here in 25 years. But like his home, billing, whatever. I think it should be him and Cody, and in kind of a passing of the, hey, I was the guy for 15 years. You're in place to be that next guy. You've been carrying the torch here. That's what I would assume. Now, if you're going to have that be the last Mania match, that's a hell of a last Mania match, Cody and Cena. I'm not going to complain. That's going to be great. I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah, but I think Cody Cena in his last match, I think would be pretty cool.
Officially passing the torch to him. That way.
I agree.
And you could do a lot of things. Like Cody's been back for 3.5 years now, and he's been a good guy the whole time.
He came back in 2022 at Mania, so it's been a little under. It's been a little under 3 years.
A little under 3 years. So by the time
he had his final AEW match was against Sammy Guevara in January of 2022. Yeah. And then the rumors started flying that Cody Rhodes is no longer under contract. And then obviously you knew what was coming with them saying that Seth Rollins is having a mystery opponent. You knew what was coming. So it's been a little under 3 years now, but in those 3 years he's been the guy. You could tell the presentation. I'm gonna compare it right now. the way Cody Rhodes has been presented in these almost 3 years is the way that Penta is being presented right now. Penta coming in from the other company and being presented the way that he is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to call Penta face of the company type of person, but I'm going to say that he's being presented in that type of way. And yeah, Cody Rhodes took that role on of being the face of the company officially once he came back, because Roman was never around. Roman was the guy, but Roman was never around. You had Roman wrestling maybe 3 or 4 matches a year, barely making TV appearances, doing the whole bloodline stuff. He was the number one guy, but Cody was the face of the company. He's been the face of the company for 2 years now, and that would ultimately be the passing of the torch from you. I was the face of the company for 15 years. Now it's your time to be him until you hang it up in about 7 years or so.
Yeah, and I'm a sicko. I would want Cody to turn heel on John Cena right there.
Yeah,
that's what I would want.
I would love Cody Rhodes to turn heel, but ultimately it's not going to happen.
No, it won't, and it shouldn't. He's the guy. He's been the face of the company for 2 years. He's going to be the face as long as he wants to be. But I'm a sicko, so I would want Cena to go out on his back to Cody. Cena gets his moment. Cody attacks him, kind of like KO attacked Cody at this one in December, and then we go into 2026 with heel Cody Rhodes as the champ.
Yeah,
and then it's like, okay, here we go, and then you can build the next guy to be the guy that takes it off Cody.
Oh yeah,
maybe Sami Zayn winning the 26 Rumble in Saudi. Or
I'm going to be honest. I think that's the move that they're going to do.
I think it is the move.
I think he's winning the Rumble in Saudi Arabia.
I think he is too. I think Sami, again, we're a year out. It's way too early. But I think Sami winning the 2026 Rumble in Saudi Arabia, I think that is the move. And I look at Sami Zayn, and this is not a level of in-ring, but I think the way the fans get behind Sami Zayn, it reminds me of like Mick Foley.
Yeah,
like
100%.
In the Attitude Era. How like he was always loved. The fans always rooted for him. I feel the fans feel the same way about Sami. And I view like the fan reaction for him very similar to Mick Foley and Mankind back in the day when he was that guy. And if they pull that trigger next year and they give him that going to Mania, it's going to be Daniel Bryan-esque.
Absolutely.
Everybody rooting for Sami Zayn to win the title. And if it was like against a heel Cody or something like that, that would be bananas.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to my point then, do Cena versus Orton at WrestleMania one more time in front of a crowd. Let Roman and Seth as a one-on-one be a match. That's a huge WrestleMania match given their history. And then let Punk and Cody main event.
There's so many directions with the star power they have now.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No, and like I said, there's people talk about, the WWE is not giving out info or anything. They're feeding people backstage info to see what the reaction is going to be. They discuss multiple matches every single year for WrestleMania, and they have multiple plans in place in case. So those matches that we've been talking about, the directions that they can go, there's so much that they can do in these next 2.5 months leading to WrestleMania that will have us on the edge of our seats.
Yeah,
Agreed.
And isn't that a great place to be in? It's fun once again to be a fan of professional wrestling. We are, as the kids say, eating good in the neighborhood. I think that's an Applebee's.
We are.
I believe that is.
Yeeting.
we're
yeeting.
I don't know. Guys, that has been RAW Dawgs, a bodyslam.net post show. This was fun. Thank you both for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Made me feel better. I'll tell you that right now. I feel a lot better after talking.
I was going to say, you don't seem sick at all. You came alive. Alive tonight.
Every day when I start watching the shows, I definitely push away what I got going on, and it just takes away from it. So yeah, it's great. It's great to talk wrestling.
Absolutely.
I really enjoy it.
It's fun. Thank you for everybody that is watching us. Thank you for everybody in the comments. Before we go, Corey, do you want to shout out some of the comments, read some of them? Let me
go through it real quick. I got them up. Elite Spear. Yes, I am in Body Slam. Hello. Yes, my mutual. Yes, I am here. Let's see. Diedrich here, the Dream Team. Yep, 100%. Diedrich popped up in the chat. Let's see what else we got going on here. Gabriel, do I know anything of Alexa Bliss's plans? I haven't heard any certainty. I saw some things floating around that she's supposed to be going to the Raw brand now, but I haven't heard anything personally, so I can't confirm or deny that. Let's see. Corey Michaels popped in here and said, Nick, you have that shit on.
Yeah, I do.
He said, you got that shit
Corey.
on.
Love Corey, great writer over at Bodyslam.
Oh, fantastic.
100%. Shout out Blackhawk. Blackhawk asked the question: does Rey Fenix's contract expire by Mania? Does not, unfortunately. It's into the summertime.
Summer. Yeah.
We were talking about Charlotte. They talked about where Charlotte's gonna land. She's gonna be on SmackDown like she has been. She's gonna be a SmackDown superstar. Let's see. NXT is the most consistently good show in WWE. 100%. I enjoy NXT every single week. You have your highs, you have your lows, but if you look at the ratings, NXT is consistently there every single week. Shawn Michaels, especially that women's division, knows what he's doing. Let's see what else we got in here. EO got robbed. I agree, but I think EO finds her way into WrestleMania somehow. Talk about that. Talking about the Intercontinental title, Blackhawk says, I missed the white one Cody brought back. It was a beautiful title. Yes, correct. It was beautiful. Let's see. Heel Seth is always a better version. I agree. I think Cena is going to lose all the big pay-per-views in the final last one. He'll win 17. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I believe that Cena is going to be chasing the entire year, leading to him finally winning 17 and breaking Ric Flair's record. So, but yeah, it's been a great show. Appreciate all of you tuning in with us. Appreciate the comments as always. Fantastic. We're here every week or almost every week, depending. So yeah, we'll see. You can find me on Twitter. My ad is in the screen right now. You can find me there. It's the same on Instagram. You find me there. I don't post on Instagram much, but I will go and give you a follow and support you too on there. But my main thing is on Twitter. So if you want to go and give me a follow, go ahead and give me a follow.
Awesome. JPJ, what about you? Got any projects coming? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me right here on all social media platforms right here at JPJ Loves Gaming. I got the stuff over on Love Wrestling that I talked about at the top every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I do Firmly Love Wrestling. We talk WWE on Tuesdays and AEW on Thursdays, and then every Thursday night at 8 p.m. also over on Love Wrestling, the flagship show over there, me and my boy Pluggo doing Between Two Beards every Thursday night. So go give Love Wrestling a follow as well. Love Wrestling CA, that's where you can see all my other and most of my wrestling comment. And we have a bunch of interviews from the Rumble that are posted up. We're going to be posting more Rumble stuff in the coming week, and a vlog and all that fun stuff too. So you can see some good Rumble content and some good stuff. We did ask Penter about the Braun Breaker situation. They got picked up by a couple outlets today, Fightful, SE Scoops, and that's been kind of floating around. That was Pluggo and I that asked him that question and stuff like that. So go check out that stuff over there on Love Wrestling as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It has been a pleasure having both of you. JPJ, what a wonderful addition. I think you were that missing puzzle piece. Cassidy Haynes, the editor of Body Slam, he knew it.
Shout out Cassidy.
Yeah,
Cassidy
the man.
Shout out to him. Cassidy brought me on, and nothing has been the same since. So I appreciate that.
This has been great. It's fun talking wrestling with a bunch of dudes. JPJ Loves Gaming. I want to ask one final question. What is your favorite pro wrestling video game?
Oh God, bro. I'm old, man. I'm old, man.
Super WrestleMania.
Listen, I know a lot of people. I prefer WrestleMania 2000 to No Mercy.
Wow.
When it goes to the N64 games, I prefer WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. They're both excellent. But here comes the pain, bro. SmackDown versus Raw. Here comes the pain. Is the best one ever.
That's my favorite.
Best one ever, in my opinion.
And I'll be honest, from what I've heard from 2K25, it may end up being the greatest.
I very much enjoyed 2K24. And I think 2K25 is going to be even better.
The additions that they've made to 25 with intergender matches and chain wrestling coming back and everything else that they've talked about and the stuff they haven't announced yet.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm very excited about the Island. I feel like that's going to be their version of the Street from the NBA 2K 100%. Games. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. And if they do 100%. That well, that's going to be a mode that's going to maybe change WWE video games forever.
Absolutely.
Like it really could be.
We've been waiting on it since 2K took over. We felt like it should have been a mode.
Yeah.
So 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Very much looking forward to 25.
I agree. Here comes the pain. Best game. Love No Mercy. Love the 2K games. Love SmackDown versus Raw. Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah.
It was so cool. It's Goldberg and Scott Steiner in a WWE game. Brock Lesnar, old school Undertaker. It was great. You know what? I'm gonna go play that right now. I got my PSP still hooked up.
Yeah, another thing about 2K25, my friend King Crab and the online GM mode could be very cool too.
Absolutely.
Up to 4 players online doing that. That's very, very cool. That's very cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
We got a lot to look forward to in video games and in real life. I am Nick Perkins at Western Rebel on Twitter. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Everybody, we will see you next week.
As always, thank you guys. Much love.
Bye.